Hi there, I'm Jamie Taylor. Welcome to Your Health Matters, brought to you by Kingman Regional Medical Center, your local community-owned hospital. This program focuses on healthcare issues relevant to you, your family, and friends. I've got a great guest for the program today, so I hope you'll stay tuned. We'll be back right after these messages. Welcome back to Your Health Matters. My guest today is Breanna Whittaker, a registered dietitian here at Kingman Regional Medical Center. Thanks for being on the show, Breanna.
Well, thanks for having me.
So I'm excited to learn about you and about what a registered dietitian is. But so first tell me, I know you're new to Kingman. You said 4 months you've been here.
Yes.
So where were you before? Where's home?
Home is Spring Creek, Nevada.
Okay.
So the northeastern part of Nevada. Small town, so I'm kind of used to, the Kingman small town.
Okay.
Far away from things. We had to drive 4 hours to either Reno or Salt Lake to go to a mall.
Oh,
or
wow.
anything
So we're
like that.
a lot closer than
A lot
that.
closer here, that's for sure.
Very good.
Yes.
And so where did you go to school?
I received a bachelor's degree in nutrition from the University of Colorado at Colorado Springs.
Oh, very good.
And then I went on to get my master's and do my dietetic internship at the University of Vermont.
Oh, wow.
So I
That's
wanted
a big difference.
Yes, I wanted to experience the East Coast, and
Okay.
I found out I'm definitely a Western gal. So, yes.
Very good. Yeah, that's a big difference in weather and people and everything
Yes.
over there compared to this side.
Yes, there is.
Very good. So how long does it take to become a registered dietitian? How many years of school?
Great question. So every registered dietitian has to have the bachelor's degree.
Okay.
So at least 4 years of school there.
Okay.
And then we all also have to go through an internship, and that can last anywhere from, I think the shortest one is about 9 months, and then the longest is a year.
Oh, okay.
And those are unpaid though, so a lot of
Oh.
times it's nice to roll them into a master's as well,
Okay.
which is what I did.
Oh, okay.
So about 5 years
Okay.
total.
That's a lot of school, though.
It is. It's a good amount of school.
So now, did you just graduate? Are we your first full-time permanent
Yes.
position? Okay.
Yes. This is my first full-time position as a
Great.
registered dietitian. Graduated in May with my
Oh.
master's.
Very good. So very good. And so you've been in Kingman 4 months. And how did you pick Kingman and KRMC?
It was kind of an odd thing. I received an email one day about an opening here.
Okay.
From one of my colleagues, and I was like, well, Arizona, that sounds nice. Kingman, I kind of looked it up, on Route 66 and near the Grand Canyon and near Vegas. I was like, okay, this sounds like a good idea.
Good.
And one thing led to another. I applied, and they loved me. So
Good.
and
Welcome
I
to
love
that.
it here. I
Good.
must say that.
Oh, I'm glad. And you're not real far from home as far as you were when you were in Vermont, obviously.
Yes.
A little closer, so you can get together with family maybe for big holidays and stuff.
Yes, and that was another one of the criteria. It had to be within driving distance,
Oh,
a
very
day's
good.
drive.
Yeah.
home.
Okay. So how far is that? About 6, 7 hours?
8 to
Oh, it's
10.
8. Oh, it is that
Depending
long.
on
Okay.
the weather.
Right. Yeah. So because northern Nevada, you're going to have a lot more weather.
Oh, yeah.
Have
Especially
they
in
had
the
much
winter.
this year?
Not a whole lot.
They're like
actually.
us. We've
Yeah.
had a pretty unseasonably warm winter, which is good and bad to that. I mean, we need that moisture, obviously.
Right.
Last year, this time, we had snow. I've got pictures of us out at the ranch hiking and snow up over the ankles. It was good, but cold, so I can't complain too much. So, a registered dietitian, what exactly do you do here at KRMC?
Okay. Well, at KRMC, I'm a clinical dietitian.
Okay.
So there's different fields that a registered dietitian
I didn't know that.
can go into.
Okay.
You can go into clinical, which is working at a hospital and working with the doctors and patients and speech therapy, everybody else, to try and help our patients achieve the best health possible.
Okay.
And my end is diet education, helping
Oh.
people understand why the doc wants them to be on a certain diet. And
That's
then-
got to be a challenge, I would think, at times.
Yes, yes. And then for the more critically ill patients, I also do recommendations for people who need feeding through tubes or
okay.
through their IV.
Okay, and kind of help making sure they get enough proteins and that type of thing in it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we talked about March is coming up, and that's National Nutrition Month, so that's very important. And it's also colorectal, easy for me to say, Cancer Month, which also obviously plays a big part in what you eat, getting enough fiber and roughage and stuff. So
Yes.
those kind of all play into what you're talking about, right?
Definitely. So National Nutrition Month is definitely focusing. The theme this year is get your plate in shape.
Oh.
So we always talk about the plate method
of eating.
Eating, yep, making half your plate vegetables.
I was just going to say, let's talk about that, because a lot of our viewers may not know what that is exactly.
And it's a great way, because then you don't have to measure anything.
Okay.
And it's so much easier than having to measure calories or anything else.
Cup size and that kind of thing. Okay, so how does it work?
Okay, so you picture a plate, and most plates these days are 10 inches or 9, but the standard is actually 8 to 9. So anyway, whichever plate you do have, this method will work. So half your plate is vegetables, and those are the non-starchy vegetables.
So like broccoli, beans.
Well, beans are actually starchy, so that's
they
are?
Oh, okay, so then what would be non-starchy?
So the starchy ones are beans, and then corn, peas, squash, and potatoes, and sweet potatoes.
Okay.
So everything else you can think of besides those are the non-starchy vegetables.
All the ones I like. No, I'm just kidding. That's probably where most of us have challenges. Anyway, okay.
So salad, broccoli, tons, and eggplant. And,
I like eggplant. Yeah, that's good.
Lots of things. Okay, and then the other half of your plate you cut in half. So then you have 2 quarters on the other side of your plate.
Right.
And 1 quarter is reserved for your protein, which is your meat, your fish. Your peanut butter is a protein as well, nuts and peanut butter.
Dairy?
Dairy
can
fit into the protein group, but usually that's our drink on the side is milk. At least that's what we like to promote for health. And then cheese and cottage cheese fit in the protein.
Okay.
Yes. So after you've got your protein and you've got your non-starchy vegetables on your plate. So now it's time for the starch. So that's your bread. So if you want to have a roll or your potatoes or pasta, rice, things like that fit in that category.
Okay. And does it matter what order you eat them?
So that is a great point, because people who would like to lose weight and then people with diabetes, hypertension, and really for general health, the best way to eat is either your protein or your non-starchy vegetables first. And then the next one. So I like to start with my vegetables because they get cold as well if they're hot. So start with your non-starchy vegetables, that half of the plate, and then go on to your protein, and then your starch last. And protein and fiber, which is in the vegetables and your protein, are the most filling.
It kind of helps fill you up so you don't have as much, or you aren't feeling as hungry when you go to eat those starches.
Yes.
Okay. So and probably hopefully fill up and don't have room for dessert.
But dessert is wonderful, and we love to, the big philosophy in nutrition is just to enjoy what you eat. Make it healthy, but enjoy it too.
Yes, that's important. So how you cook it obviously is important too, both for flavor and health.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So frying obviously is not the best way to do it. It's better for grilling and broiling.
Correct.
Right? Or raw vegetables obviously are good for you too.
Steaming.
So I know one of the things it's always got to be a challenge for you, like you talked about earlier, is when you're educating people and they have to change for their health, they need to look at changing. I remember when my grandfather was diagnosed late in life with diabetes, and that was such a big life-altering change for him, because he was like, I think, in his late 70s. So, he's like, well, I've been eating it this way for 70 years. Why am I going to change now?
Right. You already have some habits in place.
Yeah. And trying to help him focus. And I think that's what a lot of people need to work on, is instead of the negatives, what I can't eat, focus on the positives, what I can eat. And that's how my mom helped him, was coming up with a list of all the things he could eat. And there was really a lot on that list when you looked at it that way. So does that work still today?
Yes, we still like to remain very positive, and instead of looking at what's not recommended, then look at the things that are recommended for you to eat, and what are your favorite foods, and let's talk about how you can work them into, even, you know, a person with diabetes can have cake. They can have candy if they want, but it's just, well, even regular. It's just how much and when are the questions to ask.
Okay, so that's good to know.
You just have to,
and that's where portions, obviously. And that's part of, I think, a lot of our issues nowadays in our society. We've gotten supersized, as they say, with everything. And you know, even you go to the store, the regular restaurant, their portions are so huge. My husband and I usually, when we go out now, we split a lot of times. We'll get, split a plate. We'll both get a salad and then split whatever, an entree, because it's way too much.
Yeah, that is a great idea. Yeah, just simple things like that that you can do make a big difference. And that's another reason for the plate method, is just that will control your portions as well. If you're keeping your protein to a quarter of that plate, it's going to really keep your portions under control. And that does, like I said, splitting it, even if you're out, you can still do the plate method when you go out to eat dinner. Okay. And don't be afraid to take things home or have leftovers. I know a lot of people have been raised on the I'm going to eat everything
clean
that's
your
on
plate.
The
clean plate club.
So yeah, we need to definitely make some changes.
Yeah, I think that's one of a downfall, you know, especially in my age group, the baby boomers. That was a big thing. You know, there's children starving somewhere, so you got to eat it all. Yeah, I know. But instead of eating it all, be grateful, right? Well, and another habit I've tried to get into when I do go out to eat is I ask right away for a to-go box, and I will take my serving, if I'm eating a whole serving by myself, and cut it in half and put it in the to-go box, and then I've got lunch for tomorrow. So that helps too.
And that way you're not wondering, oh, was this half later on?
Well, if it's out of sight, I'm not as likely to eat it as much as if it's still on my plate, I'm going to just keep eating. So there's lots more I want to talk about. We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned for after these messages. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Your Health Matters. My guest today is Breanna Whittaker. We're talking about nutrition. Breanna's a registered dietitian, so she knows a lot about that. We talked earlier about diabetes and the plate method, but what other kind of, well, maybe I should say, what illnesses are not controlled by what we eat, I guess, because what we eat impacts, right? Yeah,
it impacts all sorts of different health conditions, and just a healthy diet in general can help keep your blood pressure, cholesterol, and everything under control, keep you healthy. And
so that plate method, even if you're not obese, you know, or aren't trying to lose weight, I think just to stay healthy is probably makes sense, right? And we talked, in case someone just joined us, the plate method was half of your plate is those fresh vegetables, non-starchy vegetables, and then a quarter of the plate is your protein, and the other quarter is the starchy rolls or potatoes, right? Did I get that right?
You got that right.
All right, good.
Great job.
Okay. Something else I've heard, but I don't know if it's an old wives' tale, they talk about you should or should not, which is it, drink water with your meal.
With your meal.
With your meal.
Okay. It depends.
Yeah.
Because some people like to have that liquid, and some people need that liquid to, you know, make everything swallow nicely.
Right.
But, you know, I like to drink after my meal or before, and not necessarily with my meal. And I think it's just a personal preference.
Okay, so it doesn't really impact too much how you're digesting or nutrition-wise. Okay.
Yeah.
Salt. What about salt?
Oh, salt. So many of us these days have high blood pressure or hypertension. So salt plays a big role in that, and then also congestive heart failure.
Oh, salt impacts that as well?
Yes, because with salt comes water. So extra fluid in your body makes your heart work harder, pumping it all around, trying to get rid of it through your kidneys. So low salt diet is best, and that just means, you know, watch how much salt you're putting on your food at the table. daily recommendation for salt is about 2,000 to 2,400 milligrams a day.
That's not very much.
Which is, yeah, like a teaspoon.
Okay.
Or a quarter teaspoon.
Of course, if you think about it, truly is quite a bit of salt.
It is.
And it doesn't impact other herbs, right? And seasonings.
No.
You can
so that's
use.
the best thing to do is to use other seasonings to make your
like rosemary
plate
and thyme
flavorful.
And
rosemary, thyme. You know, we're in the Southwest using peppers and jalapenos, salsa.
Good stuff. Yes.
Yes. Yeah, there's plenty of other things.
Okay. So, and I know, I think most people have gotten out of this habit, but for years when I was a little girl growing up, my mom would throw salt in the water to make it boil faster. And that was one of the easiest things to eliminate was, I mean, okay, so you have to wait another minute longer, but the water still boils. It's okay.
Yeah, just little things like that that you can do to cut salt.
Okay.
And then just look at the labels, look at nutrition labels, and try to pick things under the sodium line. If you look at that and try to pick a food that has less than 20% of that daily value, so that
sodium and sodium's in a lot of preserved foods too, right? The boxed foods or the frozen TV dinners, those types of things. All of that.
So if you keep on the more outer portions of the grocery store, so that's where the meats are, the fresh vegetables, the bread.
Oh, you're right. I never really thought of it that way. So inside's bad, the outside's good.
Yeah, I mean, you have to go inside to get your pasta and things like that. But yeah, that's where they hide all of
the frozen
more
and
processed.
Interesting. I'll have to remember that. I'm gonna. As soon as you said that, the light kind of clicked. I'm like, well, yeah, that's the outside is the fresh stuff. That makes sense. Okay, and fresh is obviously better anyway for us. So.
Yeah, and actually with vegetables, whether they're fresh or frozen, even canned, just look for the low sodium canned vegetables. They all are similar nutritionally. So, yeah.
So it doesn't matter too much. That's like I said, as long as you watch for the low sodium. Because the canned usually has higher sodiums in it for the canning process, right? The preserves.
Correct.
Okay. Well, I know my husband and I are both fresh vegetables or frozen. Is our favorite way to do veggies. Neither of us are, I guess because we grew up with canned veggies, so it's like just not the same.
Not the same.
The textures aren't the same anymore. Exactly. But so we talked about clinical, so that means you're seeing patients in the hospital.
Correct.
Right. There's other types of dietitians as well.
Yes. So as a registered dietitian, I could also work in community nutrition. So that's public health.
Oh, okay. Like working for Mojave County Health Department.
Yes.
Okay.
And then also we have an outpatient dietitian here at KRMC.
That's right. Rachel. She's been on the program before. Yes. Okay, good.
So she fits in that community nutrition category as well.
Okay.
And then there is food service. So we also have dietitians that are involved in the KRMC cafeteria and patient menus. Okay. And then they can be involved in schools and everywhere else that you find food service.
Now, so when the nutritionists that you were talking about that are in the hospital, but you're seeing patients as well, right? So,
yes.
So what's the difference between that clinical that you are and the, I forgot what you call them. The food service.
Yes. So food service, you're mainly just overseeing the day-to-day operations of our food service. Okay. The preparation, We're trained in food safety, all of us dietitians are.
So you have your food handling cards.
Yes, yes we do. And just making sure that our menus are nutritionally adequate for our patients and that we have offerings available for every diet order that comes across.
Okay. And there's a lot of different types of diets, right?
Yes.
I mean, it's not just low salt or salt-free. There's what other kinds of?
There's also low fat and then the renal diets, which restricts, a lot of times they restrict protein, potassium, phosphorus.
That's got to be a challenge.
Yes, it is. So there's a little bit of fine tuning that goes into all of those.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then like the bland diet, I hear that. What does that mean?
Yeah, that's a great question because bland is actually an out-of-date term that we're not really using anymore. But a lot of times people think of the bland diet as the low-fiber diet. Okay. So
soups and puddings and things like Jell-O.
Well, that's more like the liquidy diet.
Oh, okay.
But just something that's nice for your GI system, doesn't really
Okay.
irritate, or it stays away from spices. So, you know, no more
So what do they
salsas
call it
and
night?
cilantro.
Oh, yeah. So it's not bland. What do they call it?
Low fiber.
Oh, okay. Low fiber. Okay.
fiber.
But obviously that has to do with certain specific health issues, because
Yes.
fiber's pretty important for normal health,
Yes,
right?
keep your bowels regular and decrease
Yeah.
your risk of colorectal cancer.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
But the low fiber is great for people with ulcerative colitis or irritable bowel syndrome.
Okay. Diverticulitis, those types of
Actually,
things.
diverticulitis, high fiber is best.
Oh, see? I keep learning new things every time I do the
Yes.
show.
So, I know, it's interesting
lot
to
of
keep
it.
it all straight.
I bet it is, keeping it all in your head. So now with March being National Nutrition Month, are you doing anything special in March here at KRMC?
We have plans in the
Oh,
works.
I figured you would.
For different things in the cafeteria, and then maybe even a booth as well.
Okay. Yeah, we've got some
Promoting.
health fairs coming up. The
Yes.
senior health fairs in February, so that'll be a good time for you to get that word out as well.
Yes.
And I know you've spoken at the Catherine Heinrich Center.
I have.
You did that, and so you're kind of doing outreach, I guess, not outpatient, but outreach
Community,
as well.
yeah.
So that's good. It gives you a kind of diversity in your job.
It does,
You
which
like
I
that?
really enjoy. I do.
Good, good. So a lot of, though, on your day-to-day, you're actually going up to the patient rooms and talking with the patients about
Yep.
what they're eating and why the doctors ordered what they have for you, your low fiber or low sodium type of thing.
Yes, exactly.
What do you think is what's your biggest complaint you hear from people about
Biggest
diet
complaint?
changes?
Oh, about the diet changes?
Yeah.
Just that it seems overwhelming.
A lot to try to figure
Yeah,
out.
a lot to try to figure out. And okay, you tell me low salt, or now I need to follow the consistent carb for diabetes. And what does that mean? And so that's the greatest part, is going in with patients and just talking about this is what it means. And it's really not that overwhelming when we get done, because they're like, oh, this
Okay.
makes sense.
Yeah.
We send them home with recommended and not recommended food lists. Anything that they need, we will provide.
Good. Well, that's good to know too.
Yes.
So that's good, and I'm glad you've joined us. You've only been here 4 months, but I'm sure you're going to be around for a long time. That's a
I
good
hope
thing.
so,
So, what
yes.
kind of things are you doing for fun? Have you
Oh.
found fun things in Kingman yet?
Of course. Well, I've been to the movies.
Oh yeah. We've got a
yeah.
great theater. It's kind of a sticker shock if you're coming from the East Coast, I bet, huh?
But they do have a special on Tuesdays.
Well, I know,
so
but
that's
it's a lot cheaper, isn't it?
It
I guess
is.
I was going reverse of sticker shock, because I
Right.
don't. In San Diego, it's like
$10.
oh,
or-
right,
yeah.
easy, right?
Yeah.
You can't go to the movies and get popcorn and a drink for $20 there. Here you can.
Yes. And I've been up to the Wallapai Mountains.
Oh, good.
And
Yeah, it's
yeah,
beautiful up
going
there.
all around. I like to golf, but I haven't been on the course here
Oh,
yet.
well, we have a golf tournament in October. You have
Right.
to be a part of.
I remember that. I
Good.
will have to do that.
That was probably right after, just when you were first getting
Just
here.
when I
would
was
think.
first getting here, yes.
Very good.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a big fundraiser for us, so we're excited about that. And as far as other things that you're working on, I mean, you pretty much just at work, it's just the nutrition, right? But-
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Just we have a couple changes coming down the way. We'll see what happens in the next few months, but we might have some specials. Working with Rachel in the outpatient and
Oh,
things
okay.
like that.
Good. Yeah, her
So
cooking
cute.
class has been well received.
Oh,
and helping-
yes. I've
And
heard
that's like
rave
we
reviews.
talk about how we prepare our food is sometimes almost as important as what we're eating, because you can have
Definitely.
great protein, but then you fry it and you kind of lose all all the goodness that was in there went down with the grease, right?
Yeah, it's
Well,
fantastic.
it's been great having you on the show, Breanna. Thank you. And we'll look forward to seeing you out and about in the community. So.
Yes, you will, Jean.
Okay. Thank you all for joining us this week. I'll hope you'll see us again next week. We've got another great guest for you. Take care.